Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Aaron and welcome back to a Black Ops 7 video. Today I'm going to show you how I beat the boss fight on Ashes of the Damned. So it shouldn't be a long video, but let's get into it. So first up, I just want to take you through Juggernog. The major augment I used was Iron Claw. Reason being, when your armor gets decimated, it's very nice to have the extra health. And so because of the armor system, we also want to make sure that we have got hardened plates and durable plates. So I would highly recommend that you get the minor augment for 2 minor augments. Over on quick revive, I would definitely suggest using equivalent exchange. So as of the patch 2 days ago, they have actually fixed this now. There was an issue with it that you could damage the boss or damage zombies and it wouldn't revive you, meaning that you would have to use your self revive. So the key is to make sure that you use all your equivalent exchanges. Reason being is if you're playing solo, you will die out once you've used your self revive. This you could probably just pair with slow death, if I'm honest. That might be your best option. Now, I think the most important perk to beat this boss fight is definitely Deadshot Daiquiri. Pairing it with the major augment of Deadhead. You don't have to worry too much about the minor augments, but Deadhead is definitely the best way forward. Reason being, you want to make sure that the critical spots are open and shoot it with DG2. So that goes from about 15,000 damage to about 18,500. And trust me, it does make a difference. So I am actually going to include Vulture Aid in this video. Reason being is the major augment for picking up armor plates automatically applies to your vest. I have seen people go against this, but I think it might be ideal in the fight, especially when zombies are spawning in, that you can try and get some armor back from them. But there is definitely a setting that you want to make sure that you've changed. That's in combat behavior, and that's to change your armor plate behavior to apply only 1. That way, when you hold whatever key or button it is to apply the armor vest, it only does 1 instead of all. So even if you take a little bit of damage on your main plate, it doesn't just regenerate. Okay, so with Speed Cola, I am going to include this in the video. Reason being is people might see the augment for Supercharge, which causes your field upgrade to recharge faster. I'll be honest, it is still the one I would use, but don't think it even really made a difference. Reason being is I'm making sure that I'm using my raindrops, which I have had problems with trying to activate in the boss fight, then shields up, and then power keg to actually get a full armor. But yeah, the amount of time you spend in the boss fight, it just doesn't seem to sort of charge. Maybe you need to kill more zombies, but I would advise you stay in old Tessie. And last of all, I still wasn't sure whether to include this, but Wisp Tea. So in the fight that I did actually win, I did use the Maiden, so Mask of Benevolence. I did pair that with the increased Wisp lifetime, whereas if I had 2, I would have gone for Haste as well. But yeah, I'm not sure how good this is as of yet. I would definitely avoid using the Fox, because when I was trying to level up to get the Maiden, Fox was sort of letting me down, and it did revive me at one stage, but I was a bit disappointed that it was a bit of an inconvenience when I already had equivalent exchange. So it meant that I still had 3 of them, but I lost like all my perks. You want to be running the Aether Shroud field upgrade. I used this with the Burst Dash major augment. The reason being, I did unlock the after image one. However, it's not very helpful when you're repairing Tessie and the zombies are coming to attack your clone, because once it's finished, then the zombies are right at you. I would pair this with the minor augments, extra charge, and extension. The gobble gums I would like to bring into this fight are Shields Up, which gives you the hardened plates. I believe this is for about 5 minutes. I also brought in Soda Fountain, because at this point I'd run out of Perkaholics. I also would use the Wonderbar Gobble Gum. This way it at least guaranteed me a ray gun. I would also make sure that I've got Power Keg. And then the last one, I would decide between Raindrops and Idlewise. When I beat the boss, I did end up using Raindrops. However, I have had issues with activating this in the fight. And I feel if you're on your last standoff, you might find Idlewise is the best thing to do, because it will basically act like an Aether Shroud. So I would like to suggest when you actually start the game, just to be able to get into the boss fight early, I would prioritize getting the Ravager's Eyes. So using the Swordblade Trap on a Ravager round, which usually comes on around 5 or 6. I would probably advise going to the diner for this, so you can get the key as well. But if you don't have enough points to get to the diner, I would then probably suggest doing this at farm. That way you can actually put the spores down as well. So one of the side quest Easter eggs you want to do is the free Juggernog perk. So to do this, you want to make sure that once you spawn in, you want to go up the ramp up at Janus Towers and pick up the leaves that you'll see in the ground. You can then also go to the barn over in farm and you'll be able to see through the door that there's a jug. You definitely want to pick that up. Then finally, you can make yourself to the diner, pick up the eggs that are in the fridge, and then go to the drinks machine and redeem your Juggernog. This way, you can get a free Juggernog perk and you can prioritize getting the Ravager eyes early. So again, you really want to prioritize going into the boss fight at a lower round. So you might be aware that at round 16 a Xerxes spawns, so it's definitely worth going to the Cosmodrome as soon as you've got the wonder weapon, so the gauntlet, and activating the 3 skulls around the Cosmodrome. You can find one downstairs by the yellow railing by the wall by, find a second one outside by the zip line on this bit of scaffolding or support beam, and then the third one is at top in the zombie spawn and you'll be able to see it on your right there. So I did see on Twitter by a guy called Pigpen, and he provided some cheat sheets. So cheat sheet 1 is basically going to tell you what the different items are. So you should be able to see the list in your game and just see the first symbol and go, that's it, that would be fine. And then you can just sit in the corner once you've added the blood and just shoot with the gauntlet at the zombie spawns, and then that will regen your health. You can then see on the second cheat sheet as well, there are some steps that will include the number translation already done for you and the 4 words, so you'll be able to sort of pair them up on the screen as well to launch the rocket. So yeah, then you have to find the keys, and then from there you will then have to do the technically 4 trials, but the main 3 that are available to you are the farm, in which I definitely suggest grabbing monkeys and using the saw blade trap. The rocket we have already covered with the cheat sheet, and in diner when you get a lightning round, I would definitely advise calling in Klaus early so that he is there before you shoot the clock that's on the building. You might want to make sure that you've already rammed with Tessie into the container, activated Klaus to revive the mechanic, and then that you've already got Melee Macchiato to revive the waitress inside, and that way you should be able to do at least 2 of them within the 60 seconds. If you can't, make sure to shoot the sparking lampposts that do not have a light, as once you've shot one, the other one will activate and then the lightning will respawn. That way you can then use the jump pad to get back into Ashwood. You don't need to activate the clock tower again, you can just shoot with the gauntlet and activate the purple mode, and then that way you can just continue where you left off, and that will get that trial out the way. And then a little tip that I do for the Blackwater Lake Mansion, you've got to make sure that you go to the dock and activate the wisp there. Then once you shoot the projector, I like to call it fish, darts, barbecue, lamp as the locations. Darts being because it's got a dartboard, fish because it's the fishing hut, barbecue because you're facing the barbecue, and lamp just because that's the main one that's inside upstairs that you activate. So yeah, that should cover the initial setup. So now in the gameplay I will just show you how I collected the souls. You definitely want to wait until they spawn in before you drive in, otherwise you're just going to get Tessie damaged. And the souls spawn in the same place every time, so you know how to collect them. And then once you're in the boss fight, you just want to keep dodging the red missiles that he does. Try and save the green spores as much as possible. And yeah, keep using the abomination head and boost and the boss's direction in order to create red crit spots. And essentially you just want to keep circling the boss and boost into them crit spots. Then once he becomes electrified, you want to make sure that you are crashing into him so he activates the beam that you can then collect and start doing damage. As soon as you've collected the beam, you then want to switch to your DG2 and shoot the gold bit below him. As I said, with Deadshot Daiquiri, you'll be doing just over 18,000 damage, and hopefully you're able to do that all in one go. From the second wave, that's when it gets a bit tricky. So I would recommend, if you're running low on armor, this is probably the best time to use your shields up. You might find that you go down, but with equivalent exchange, you should be able to shoot some of the zombies or even the boss and revive yourself. You might even have to use a Aether Shroud at this point. Then when you get to the third stage, you want to make sure that you've always got at least one Aether Shroud. It might be easier to use your raindrops early on in the third stage. Reason being is the zombies might overwhelm you, especially the Xerxes, and you're definitely going to be prone to go down. So when I did it, I did end up going down 3 times in the final stage. However, equivalent exchange saved me quite a bit, and then when I got the boss down to very last stage and I went down, I could then use my self revive and I was able to beat the boss. So yeah, hopefully you found this video helpful, guys, and maybe I'll make a better version in the future for any upcoming maps. I just thought that from what I've seen online, there wasn't really the best guide that worked for me, so I just thought I'd document my notes. So thank you guys for watching and listen to my reaction as I beat the boss fight. See you in the next one.
Let's go! Let's go! Yeah!